So in this video, I'm going to try to illustrate Web VPN that is available and in Fortinet firewalls. So here in my setup, you have a Puppy Linux that'll going to use a web browser to access the server, on the other side. And this Puppy Linux browser is the only browser that is going to work with the default factory certificate. So the default factory certificate that you have or that you get with the Fortigate virtual machine, Eval virtual machine to test. None of the browsers would work except for the Puppy. I've tried Chrome, Edge, and Firefox, but this was the only one that worked because I wanted to test the Web VPN feature, which enables you to come into the firewall through browser, and then that firewall is going to create a tunnel into the other side of the world, and it'll let you access web server and also access SSH into the router through the web portal. So this is what I'm going to illustrate in my setup. I have Vyos 1 and Vyos 2 as ISPs, firewall port 3.4 connecting to the ISPs, port 2 connecting to the LAN side, same on the other side of the world, firewall 2 connected to port 2 on the LAN side, and port 3.4 connecting to the ISPs. And I'm going to use OSPF to get the routing going between all these segments. So the segment 10.1.1 sits on this side, the left side, and 10.2.2 sits on the right side. Now let's get this going, and I will reset the firewalls to start with the basic IP addresses. To do that, I am going to pop up their browsers, firewall 1, firewall 2, and I am going to go configuration restore, upload IPs only, and as in the setup that I showed, do the same thing on this other side, configuration restore with IPs only. And they're going to reboot. While they reboot, again, the setup here is that we have a client with a browser that works with the Web VPN portal for the Fortigate firewall with the default factory certificate. And I'm using a virtual machine version 6.4. And I am going to create a policy that's just going to enable the Web VPN and not other traffic. This is also a Vyos client-side Vyos, or this segment of the Vyos that's could be talking to the other side, but we'll only create a Web VPN policy to get this going. All right. First, we're going to enable the OSPF or enable the WAN zone. So this zone is going to be the LAN zone, and this zone is going to be the WAN zone, so that we don't have to worry about creating multiple policies for each port. Same on this other side. Let's see if our firewall popped up. Still booting. It's up. let's go and configure the zones. So the puppy one web server. I'm going to close the browser for this guy. It's a little slow. Close tabs. But here, the puppy is sitting here with the IP address 10.1.1.11. Okay, so let's go and configure the zones. Got a LAN zone on port 2, and its member is going to be port 2 only. If you have multiple ports, that's where the zones help. And I have a WAN zone that's got 2 ports, 3 and 4. So now I've got LAN and WAN zone. Let's do the same thing here. Create zone, LAN port 2, member is port 2, WAN zone, 2 ports, 3 and 4, as seen in the topology. Enable OSPF. So right now the ISPs my ISP router, probably very hard to see, but let's see if I can maximize this thing. I'm using a high resolution monitor here, so that's why it's going to be probably difficult for you to see, but show IP OSPF neighbors. It's got only one, which is the other ISP. After I enable OSPF, it's going to have firewalls as its neighbors as well. So this would right now has only one neighbor, which is the other ISP. It's going to give me 2 more ISP firewalls as OSPF neighbors. Router ID is the first one. Area 0, network, the 3 links basically for area 0 is going to be 10/24, which is the left side, 10.1 is left side, 10.2 is the other side of the firewall, other firewall. Create the ISP OSPF links. And that's it. You apply, you go back to your ISP router, and you don't have to do the ISP router, you can directly connect the firewalls to do this. And show IP OSPF neighbors should give me 1 extra right here. It's very hard to see, but we're not configuring these, so I'm just showing the neighbors. Okay. Invalid IP, oh, it didn't enable, that's why. Invalid IP is where? apply invalid mask. Where is it? It's right here in front of my eyes. 24. 24. Apply. 6 successful. There you go. We got 2 neighbors. Now it should have 1 more when I configure OSPF on this guy. Gen 2. Create the ISP peering. All right. Should be done with OSPF now, and the other ISP router should show me OSPF routes, showing IP OSPF neighbors. You got the full, and then show IP route OSPF. I'm learning 10 and 10.1 and 10.2. So show IP route OSPF. I'm learning 10.1 and 10.2. So we're good on the ISP side. Let's go back to the firewall. Got the routing going. Let's configure the Web VPN now. To do that, you go to the VPN option on this firewall where the client, my puppy, is connected on the segment. Go to the VPN portal, full access. That's the only one that it lets you do it because it's an eval. Disable the split tunneling, and also that's it. And then on the second VPN setting, you're going to listen on the SSL portion of it, but I have not configured that yet. So I'm going to do 10.43 Fortigate factory. I need to listen on the LAN 2, because that's where my customer is connected, my clients are connected. So I'm coming from port 2, I'm listening on 10.443. You can't use 443 on this address because default is for this web service. And I'm going to use the factory. The cell sign doesn't work. And I am assigning all the other users full access. Okay, apply, and that's good. Now for the policy, it's going to say you have to create a policy. Create a policy, and I'm going to call it Web VPN. And my SSL interface outgoing is going to be my WAN because my web server is on the other side. Source is going to be all plus the user that I have to create for the web portal authentication. So I'm creating a user called A, password A, next, submit, never, my destination is all, services are all, and I'm not using the NAT. So that's my policy. So when my users will hit this firewall, I need a policy on this side. As well. Policy 1, incoming LAN port 2, outgoing LAN, source all, destination all, service all, no NAT. I may have to do a reverse here. Let's see if this one works. I think I'm gonna have to do a reverse here as well. So go to my puppy, pop up the browser, and it's gonna hit the firewall address when it comes up. Maximize it, hit the 10/100, and it does give you, so the VPN portal comes up pretty easy once you configure it properly, the certificate and all that, username portal. So now it'll give you, this is your firewall portal, and from here you can hit the other side of the network. You can say new bookmark with quick connections. Let's do quick connections, and let's do HTTP. Let's see if the browser comes up. So my Vyos on the other side has, this is going to be, let's do the, let's hit the Ubuntu. It's not going to come up. I think I'm going to have to do a reverse here. Clone reverse, and then you enable it. And then it's going to work. There you go. So I can hit the Ubuntu. Let's hit the Vyos SSH. And the Vyos is setting at 10.222. Launch. There you go. Password Vyos. And that's your Web VPN portal on an Eval Fortinet using factory default certificate. Show interface. There it is. So in this setup, we use the puppy browser to do a Web VPN into the firewall using default factory certificate. On the virtual machine that is running 6.4 version, that creates a Web VPN into this firewall, into these two servers, web server, and then the SSH into this router through the web tunnel. You have to make sure the connectivity is up through OSPF. You don't need to connect the, put in the Vyoses. You can directly connect back-to-back firewalls to make it easier. But in this way, I illustrated the OSPF plus Web VPN in the eval. Hope this helps.